installation now. So that's something new in SQL 2016. So how do you install that? Well, you go back to the desktop, go to your folder, and go to your share folder, and go to software. And what's going to happen here is you're going to have to actually click on this link here, and it will take you to a internet site. And the internet site will allow you to get this executable SSMS set up. So what I've done is I've downloaded the SSMS once I've gone to the website, and then I've copy pasted it here. So all you have to do now is double click this. So now we're going to set up the installer, which is the SSMS installer. And after this has been taken, now this itself is going to take about 25 minutes. It's a long process. It's a healthy process. As you can see, it's very large here. So we're going to install this, and obviously I'm going to do the same thing. And this is what it looks like here. Microsoft SQL Management Studio. A restart is required in order to complete. So let's go. Okay, what is this? All right, so we have to restart the computer actually after the installation of 2016. So we'll have to do that. So make sure let me go over here and do it here also. Close. And again, so I'm going to restart server 3. So go to power, restart, and so we can start that. And I think power server 1 is still continuing, but you get the idea. So let's go back to server 2. I think that was the most. Now, obviously, it's going to go through this process of updates, Windows updates. It doesn't take that long. I believe it takes about a minute. So you'll have to go through that process if your computer needs that, but don't turn off the computer when this update is occurring. So let's go back to server 2. I think this is a little faster. Now, it's not going to take that long. It looks like it's not going to go through 30. It'll suddenly change to 60 from my experience, and then it'll change to 90, and then it'll reboot, and we're good to go. And then I just want to show you how to install the SSMS installer. And once that begins, then again, I'll pause the video, and then one of these servers will have the installation completed, and when that arrives, we'll come back and we'll resume there. So there we go. So as I said, this doesn't take long. And let's keep looking at the other ones also. So we're on 2. So it's going to restart, and then we can begin. And there we go. So that's why I wanted to show you how to do 2016, because it is a slight difference in installation of 2014 because of the separate SSMS. So if you were to install SQL 2016, you're certainly going to approach that issue of where the heck is the SSMS icon. And there it is. So it's a separate installation. So let's continue this. This obviously is a little more longer process that we're doing, but again, even though we're at almost 45 minutes, I'm going to be separating these videos into multiple videos of 20-minute each. So you're not inundated with this long 45-minute video. And remember, in order to release the mouse, Control-Alt, and there it is. So we're on server 2, and it should start soon. And there's server 3 also starting also. So let's continue. And there's server 1. So that's still going. So it does take a little while sometimes to install, but you just have to be patient about it. And obviously I don't want to really pause the video at this point because it's kind of pointless because it's going to start any second. There you go. So it's going to start again in preparing the configure the windows. Again, this does not take that long, but we need to have these updates. And so let's see where we are here. Server 3 is fine. And again, this does not take long either. So as I said, we just want to get to the point where I can show you how to install the SQL SSMS installer, and then I'll pause the video, and then at the end of the thing we'll start looking at SQL 2016 newer features and enhanced features that come with the SQL Server. And we're going to be going over briefly with those. We're not going to be necessarily going into it. This series of videos and series of courses on HA solutions, and not necessarily the application itself. So I don't want to go into too much into detail there. But as we approach these specific subjects that are important, we'll discuss them. But certainly the enhanced features we are going to be discussing. And as I said, there we go. So it's pretty fast. So we're almost done, and then we're going to start the server and apply the SSMS. And there we go. So let's start. And let's punch in the password. And let's begin. So as you can see, we're as we progressed through this third course, it's taking a little more effort to start creating these virtual environments, the domains, joining of the domains, IP addresses. But as I said, this is not considered now a beginning course. You at this level will be regarded as an intermediate understanding of it. Your status actually as a DBA will still be a junior DBA, even though you've completed all these videos. Just because you controlled all these videos doesn't necessarily mean that you will be managing the servers immediately for a company. What they will most likely do, depending on your experience, whether it's 1 year or 2 years, is that they will designate you to do the backup and procedures and be confident that you can do that. But the whole essence of these courses is that you have an understanding and a communication with other DBAs. So when they talk about clustering, you understand it. When they talk about always on or database mirroring or whatever the subject matter that we've been discussing in these courses, you can have an understanding of it and do more research yourself. That in itself will teach you how to become a production database administrator, not just the knowledge itself, but certainly the experience. So as I said, let's go to Windows, go to Computer, and go to your shared folder, Software, and obviously now we're going to install this. So as I said, copy paste this from your download to this shared folder, and then we can begin. Let me look at the other ones while it's going on. That's still going. So as you can see, I'm glad that we had these 3 instances. This way we can at least continue with our lesson here without waiting for that, because it does take a long time. So let's see if this is running. And there we go. So all you have to do obviously is click install, and that's about it. Now, as I said, this is going to take about 25 minutes. It does take a long time. I've done it. I haven't timed it, but I recall it did take a very long time to do. So I'm going to pause the video again here, and then when this is finished, we'll look at the SQL Server Management Studio, and then we'll log on to 2016. And once that's done, obviously, we'll continue with the course. So I'm going to pause the video now, and when this completes, we'll resume. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, and we're back. And what I've done at this point is I've taken the 3 servers and I've installed SQL 2016 each. And then I installed the SSMS. So the way to install it, as you can see, I've already installed it, so I'm not going to repair it. But what you want to do is get to this utility, this executable, right-click, run as admin, and you'll get this screen pop up. And then it'll say install, and then just click install. After you've done that, it'll take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Then we're good. So I'm going to close this. So it's a very simple thing, so it's really not worth demonstrating. So right click here, run as administrator, and install, and that's it. So once you get to that stage, then go to the server, and we're on server 3 here, and I've done it on server 1, server 2, and server 3. So on server 3, I wanted to point out one thing. If you press the key, you'll see now, obviously, I have the icons, a lot more icons than I did initially before. And here's SQL. So if I right-click that and just pin it, then I can go to desktop, and there it is. So now I want to start the SQL server. And if I go to SQL Server 1, and then I start it here, and if I go to Server 2, and if I start it here, I want to show you a couple of things that you may encounter. And if you do encounter them, then this is how to resolve it. So there's Server 1. If you connect, obviously I can connect there. And then obviously for server, there's Server 1. I can connect there. Let me go back to Server 2. And obviously, as you can see, I've connected there, but that's not what I want. So I want to make this 2, just to show you a couple of things here. So we can connect to the SQL Server 1 and SQL Server 2. Now, if I go to if I go to Server 3 here and I connect, I'll be able to connect, and that's great. So it just takes a second, and there it is. But what I wanted to illustrate to you is now, if I want to connect to the instant SQL Server 2 or 1, I'll go to Connect here, go to Database, and I'll change the database server name to 2. And if I go Connect, there it is. So we can connect to that database also. And now if I go to, and we can do the same thing for Server 1 if we want to connect to the various instances. And there we go. Now, one thing, if you discover that you're having issues with connecting the server, make sure that your firewall is disabled. So when I was trying to join these earlier, I was having connectivity problems where within one instance, within one server, I could not connect to another instance, but in this case I can. And the reason is the firewall was active. And how to disable the firewall? Just go to Control Panel, Categories, Small Icon, Windows Firewall. And here, as you can see, that it said actually enable. So I want to go here and disable this also, otherwise you may not be able to connect to it. So let me actually cancel this. While this is on, let me see if I can connect and recreate the error that I was getting earlier. So let me see if I can go to, let's see if I can go to Server 1. And let's see if I can connect to 3 here. Maybe I can, maybe I cannot. Earlier I couldn't, and when I changed it, oops, not Server 1. 3. So let's see if I can connect to it. And there you'll see. Now I cannot connect to that server, and that's because there's a firewall on that server. So this is the problems I was having. I've disabled the firewall in Server 1 and Server 2. Therefore, I can connect to each other's instances. But as you can see, I can't connect to Server 3. So let me cancel that, and let me go back to Server 3, and now turn off the firewall, and go OK. And now that I've turned it off on the domain network, if I go to Server 1, where I was having that issue, as soon as I go connect, it'll connect. So just in case you have instant problem connectivity, check your firewall. That's important. So now that we're come to the conclusion where we've installed the SQL servers on each instance, and as you can see, I can connect to any instance or server, and that's great. And we can do that here. So when we start doing database mirroring, we can show it to here, or we can individually show it through the server itself, which I will most likely do here. And so you can see the differences. The whole idea of log shipping, database mirroring, replication, clustering, and always-on solutions is that you have redundant databases, if you will, on separate locations in separate physical locations and separate physical servers. So if one goes down for any particular reason, whether it's corruption or hardware failure, then we can rely on the other one. But that's what we're going to be discussing in the next series of videos now. So this is great that we've set up our entire environment that we need to set up for HA Solutions. We've installed SQL 2016s, and in the next couple of videos, or a video, I'm going to go over some of the new features of SQL 2016, and then we're going to dive deep into HA Solutions. So I look forward to that. So I'm going to leave it here now because everything is set up for us. And then actually I may in the next video summarize what we did, because there was a tremendous amount what we did, and I'll write it down for you so you understand the step-by-step procedures, and visually we can see what we did. So I think I'll do that next actually. So my name is Raphael, and this is how to become a production SQL database administrator. See you in the next video.